All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. Well, Chris Canty, Evan Cohen with you. Smalls with us later. We are about a week or so in to NFL free agency. The team or teams that stand out to you the most so far?
Oh, Tennessee. I love what they did around
Really?
Yeah. Tennessee, what they did around Cam Ward, there's a lot to like about that. Going out and getting all of the Giants players, going out and making the move and bringing over Jermaine Johnson from the New York Jets in that trade with T'Vondre Sweat, getting JFM from the Denver Broncos in free agency. I love what the Tennessee Titans have done in terms of reshaping that defense and then being able to get some help for in the skill position core for Cam Ward. I love what they're doing.
Wow. I didn't see that one coming.
No, I know you didn't.
I love what the Niners have been doing. Mike Evans, Osa Digizua from the Cowboys defensive lineman. They also pick up Christian Kirk yesterday, who did not have a great year last year with Houston, but had a great playoff game. 8 catches, 144 yards against the Steelers in the playoffs. What?
No, I'm just listening.
So San Francisco, I like what they've done. I'm also into Pittsburgh and some of the moves that they've made and going out there and getting Pittman from the Colts, going out there and Rico Dowdle from the Panthers. Now, it's very tricky for me to say I like what Pittsburgh's done, and then the easy follow-up is,
Who's the quarterback?
Who's the quarterback? Once again, the Steelers are operating under the premise that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, right? I mean, that's what it feels like.
Well, yeah, I can feel that way, but here's the thing. For the first time in a long time, I'm not worried about Pittsburgh Steelers' quarterback situation.
Why?
Because they have Mike McCarthy. I can't remember a Mike McCarthy coach team that didn't have good quarterback play.
I know you have zero interest
from the incumbent starter, whoever that is, going into week one. I can't remember a Mike McCarthy coach team that didn't have good quarterback play. Now, certainly he's had teams where the starting quarterback gets hurt early in the season and the team flounders, peters out. Okay, that's a separate and aside because most teams can't survive their starting quarterback getting hurt. But injuries aside, Mike McCarthy coach teams have good quarterback play, period.
I know you have zero interest in knocking Mike Tomlin. You have praised him even as a former Raven over and over again.
Yes.
That is somewhat critical of Mike Tomlin, is it not what you just said? You just said for the first time in a long time, I am not worried about the Steelers' QB play.
Well, you got to acknowledge what you're good at and what you're not good at. Mike Tomlin is great at being able to manage a game and come up with a game plan that his team can be competitive in any situation. There have been games that Mike Tomlin has mucked up and his team has been on the winning side of it. That is an uncanny ability, and that is a rare trait to find in a coach, right? The ability to be able to manage a game, to feel the heartbeat of the game, to know what your guys can do well, to exploit the other team's deficiencies and mitigate your own. Mike Tomlin does that really well. What he doesn't do well is develop quarterbacks, and he's got the track record to prove it. Mike McCarthy is on the opposite end of the spectrum. So if they bring back Aaron Rodgers, great. But I'm pretty sure that there's a plan in place for Mike McCarthy to find an upgrade from the quarterback play that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had post-Ben Roethlisberger. And that's why they hired him. That's why the organization did something that they hadn't done in over a half a century. The last 3 coaching hires that they made were not previously head coaches in the National Football League. They deviated from that for a reason. They have urgency about finding a quarterback, just like we, as the media and I'm sure the fan base, have urgency in terms of them being able to stabilize the most important position in the sport.
I have a big issue, by the way, with the internet this weekend involving Mike Tomlin. I want to point something out here.
Okay.
Why are the Pittsburgh Steelers not allowed to wish him a happy birthday on Twitter? And everybody's like, oh, scheduled tweets. Like, wasn't the whole thing with Mike Tomlin that he left in a peaceful way?
Yeah.
So why can't I don't know if
they wanted him gone and he left. I don't know.
But everybody's like, admin said the scheduled tweets.
But here's the thing. He's going to do you a solid and go away for a couple of years as opposed to go somewhere else and coach next season.
Yeah, so I would think they're in good terms. I mean, McCarthy literally said in his introductory press conference that he talked to Tomlin, which is the right thing to do. You know, Coach Tomlin, what am I walking into?
Steelers fans wanted him gone. He's gone. Why do you then have an axe to grind?
We shouldn't wish him a happy birthday. Give me a break.
It ain't like he's the ops. Mike Tomlin ain't against you. Mike Tomlin is an all-time Steeler.
That's the thing. We always talk about these messy endings. This one's not that. This is as clean of an ending as there is. Is there a team, though, while we're kind of 1 week into free agency, and a lot of it is basically done, is there a team that has changed the outlook so much they've added pressure? Right? Like, okay, so this team's going to go out there, and they've done X, Y, and Z, and now we've got to look at it. Like, does your former squad, the Ravens, have extra pressure because they canceled the Crosby deal? They gave Hendrickson this huge deal. Lamar's extension is not done yet. It's just a reworking. They fired the head coach. Like, are they under the most pressure based on the offseason so far?
I'm glad you brought that up because it's really strange what's happened to the Baltimore Ravens. They were prepared to offer 2 first-round draft picks for Max Crosby, seemingly mortgaging their future for the here and now. And yet, somehow, some way, even nullifying that trade has put more pressure on them than it otherwise would have. Because now you're saying we're going to fail him because of the we're going to nullify the trade because of the failed injury designation. We're going to pivot and sign Trey Hendrickson. You better find a way to make this work. It is championship or bust. You've told us that with the way that you've moved this offseason. If it doesn't work out that way, after moving on from John Harbaugh, after doing a will they, won't they trade with Max Crosby, after the whole saga around Lamar Jackson and his contract extension and restructuring that deal, signing Trey Hendrickson, who's in his 30s, to a 9-figure contract, you're operating as a team that is pushing all of their chips to the middle of the table. If you do that and you come up short in 2026, then all of a sudden there are going to be more tough questions that have to be answered within that organization, and no John Harbaugh to scapegoat.
I guess the same goes to the Bills in that scenario?
Yes.
Now, the Bills didn't have the messy Max Crosby thing, obviously.
No.
But they made a change in head coach.
Do you agree with that, though? It feels like there's even more pressure on them because they didn't go through with the Max
Here's
Crosby
the difference,
trade.
I guess, between the Ravens and the Bills. And we always attach them because Lamar and Josh are both MVPs. They're both going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. We assume they're both going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and they're both faces of the franchise. Here's the difference between the two, though. There's a world where you can envision Lamar playing for another team because of the fact that he demanded a trade and he was not satisfied with his contract previously. There's not a world in which you can imagine that Josh Allen is going to play for another team, at least as we sit here today.
No.
That's the difference between those two.
Another team, the LA Rams.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
The LA Rams.
And I don't know that they're done.
No, they're not done. They tried to trade for A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I mean, they have the 13th pick. I can't sit here confidently saying they're going to use it.
They're not done. They tried to trade for A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
They traded for Trent McDuffie. They signed Jalen Watson, the other corner from Kansas City, too. They are pushing all their chips to the middle of the table because why not with a 38-year-old quarterback?
So the offseason,
year to year.
The offseason so far has given us which teams that are sitting there saying, we better win it all this year. Well, let's answer that coming up. And there's also some big names that are still out there, obviously. NCAA tournament play-in gets going tonight. Venezuela advances past Italy. They will play the United States in the WBC final. We have tons of college basketball guests today. Property Brothers, who once stole scissors from us, became national news. Yeah, became national news somehow.
That was your claim, not mine.
No, that was Hembo's claim. I'm going to blame him. But anyway, we got a busy show, and maybe somebody else will show up. We're on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive.
Season with Matthew Stafford, they're going for it. They understand the competition that they have, not only in their division, but in the conference as a whole. And they have a finite amount of time left to do this with Matthew Stafford.
Well, you prepped that well. Other ones that you want to say based on based on their moves this offseason?
I mean, I told you my Baltimore Ravens. They're
the Ravens.
I don't know how you put more pressure on yourself, nullifying a trade, sending 2 first-round draft picks for a player in Max Crosby, but you did. They did.
That's weird. It's almost like they added more pressure by nullifying it than
they did. It. They 1,000% did.
It's weird. What other teams?
Because guess what? It's inexcusable now if the Ravens can't win because their defense can't close out games, because you can't get pressure on the quarterback.
And if Max plays, regardless of whether it's for the Raiders or someone else, and he's able to do that.
But here's the thing. I think Max will play, and I think Max will be on a contender this year. So you will get the compare and contrast based on what Trey Hendrickson and that Ravens defense does versus what Max Crosby does at his next destination.
Is there a hypothetical playoff game that's more interesting than Max Crosby on an AFC team against the Ravens? Not the Raiders.
So throw out an AFC team.
Bills.
This is the Buffalo Bills?
Oh. Well, that one has a whole sort of juice to it anyway.
Buddy, let me tell you.
But you had that in there?
The league could be so fortunate. If that was the AFC Championship game,
oof.
Oh, boy.
When one of them is going to the Super Bowl, sign me up all
That usually happens
day.
with the AFC Championship.
But I'm just saying, all the storylines there, and then you finally have Lamar or Josh going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that would be good. What other teams? No,
I deserve it.
It's 10 minutes.
God,
10 minutes of
I deserve it. I deserve
That was
it.
so good, Em. That was so good.
It was good.
That usually happens in the AFC Championship game.
But the thought of one of those two going to the Super Bowl is an incredible storyline.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Well, but if Crosby's against the Ravens in that spot, which would be great, are there other teams that you would like? The Chiefs are always championship or bust because of Mahomes, right? They didn't. I mean,
But it doesn't feel like that this year.
No, coming off the injury.
They just traded Trent McDuffie.
You just made an unbelievably bold statement. Are you saying that the Chiefs have a gap year right now and that's okay?
Yeah. Well, they had a gap year this past year.
Right, but that's because of injury.
But it's going to be another gap year.
So you think if Mahomes starts 15 of 17, he misses the first two, Fields plays. You're saying if Mahomes starts 15 of 17, it doesn't matter if they win it all?
Can I ask you a question? Do you think the Chiefs' defense will be as good this year as they were the previous half decade?
I think they're going to get there because I think there's still moves to be made. Yeah, I'll say yes. I think they're going to get there. Yeah, I do.
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't think Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, that quarterback tandem, is easily replaced.
Well, maybe they bring back L'Jarius Sneed, who's now available.
Okay, that's great. I still don't think L'Jarius Sneed is those two guys. Not right now, based on where all of them are in their careers. So I don't think the Chiefs' defense will be as good.
And you're asking Mahomes coming off injury to do more than he normally does, which is a heavy lift anyway.
Did the Niners put the pressure on themselves in a Super Bowl or bust type thing when you're getting a win now guy in Mike Evans who literally said, I'm the missing piece?
It's not Super Bowl or bust for the team when you look at the composition. There's a lot of good young players on the 49ers. It's starting to feel like it's Super Bowl or bust for Kyle Shanahan, though. And that's a different thing. Yeah, it's okay. For somebody that has the reputation that he does as one of the best play designers in the entire league, one of the best sequencers of play calls in the entire league, you're just waiting for Kyle Shanahan to break through, right? I mean, he's been looked at as the boy genius for a really long time. He's had a lot of runway with San Francisco. I mean, he's been there a decade. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about two coaches during that span in his division winning championships. When are you going to win one, dog?
That's a good point. I'm just
asking the question. So, like, I don't think based on the composition of the roster, I don't think it's championship or bust for them, but I do think it's championship or bust for Kyle.
Yeah, McVay and McDonald won, and Kyle Shanahan's like oversleeping here or something. We're on Sportsman, like presented by Progressive Insurance.